10-year-old Leo loved mysteries. His favorite pastime was trailing his older sister, Mia, pretending to be a secret agent. So, when he saw the commotion across the street, police cars, flashing lights, yellow tape's detective instincts kicked in. Mrs. Gable's antique shop, usually bustling with customers, was eerily silent, its window shattered. Mia, engrossed in her phone, barely noticed Leo sneaking off. Leo slipped past the police tape, his small frame easily squeezing through a gap. Inside, the shop was a mess. Display cases lay overturned, glass shards sparkling under the harsh fluorescent lights. A police officer, Sergeant Miller, noticed Leo and shouted, "Hey, kid, get out of here." But Leo, already captivated, pointed to a tiny, almost invisible clue. A single, perfectly round button lying near a toppled porcelain doll. It was a pearly white, with a faint M etched on its back. Sergeant Miller, initially annoyed, found himself intrigued by Leo's focus. "What about it?" he asked, crouching down. Leo explained that he'd seen Mrs. Gable wearing a coat with similar buttons just the day before. He remembered noticing the M because it reminded him of his own initials. The police had already interviewed Mrs. Gable's neighbors, but none had mentioned anything unusual. Sergeant Miller, considering Leo's observation, decided to revisit them. He focused his questioning on details pertaining to coats and buttons. One neighbor, a Mrs. Peterson, hesitantly recalled seeing a woman matching Mrs. Gable's description, but wearing a different coat tone she hadn't seen before. This woman had been arguing with Mrs. Gable earlier that day. The M button led them to a local clothing store. Checking security footage, they found the woman who had argued with Mrs. Gable purchasing a coat with similar pearl buttons, discarding an old one that matched Leo's discovery. The woman, identified as Martha, an acquaintance of Mrs. Gable's, was apprehended. She confessed to staging the robbery, hoping to claim insurance money. The pearl button, a piece of evidence almost dismissed, became the key to solving the case. Back at his house, Leo sat with Mia, recounting his adventure. Mia, finally impressed, admitted that he'd outsmarted her for once. Leo smiled, clutching the pearly white button trophy from his first successful case. From that day on, Mia couldn't ignore Leo's keen eye for detail. He was no longer just her annoying little brother. He was her partner in solving mysteries, a real-life detective,